Post-July 2020 exam categories. It's hard to believe, but we are over halfway through in 2020. And since we're over halfway through, that means the fundamentals of surveying exam has changed. Cue the dramatic music. A lot of anxiety has been felt by FS students because of these upcoming changes. And you know, to tell you the truth, a little of that anxiety is warranted because until we actually see this exam in the wild, until some students take it, until we know, then we're not exactly sure how the exam has changed. So that's why this video has been delayed for a month in between the updates taking effect and the video being posted, because we need some real-world experience about what's changed. So let's talk about the exam categories post-July 2020. The first thing you'll notice is there aren't that many categories. Count this up, 7 categories. That, my friends, is half the number of categories of the pre-July 2020. Why? Well, I don't know, but I can tell you that I sure do miss the number of categories before, because if you have a lot of categories, you can diagnose what you do not understand if you don't pass the exam. If you have half the number of those categories, it becomes more difficult. So, takeaway number 1, I wish they wouldn't have combined all these categories. But let's take a look at what we have. Category number 1, surveying processes and methods. This looks just like the PS category. Instruments, GPS, control surveys, topographic surveys, construction surveys, all of these things are how you do the work. And that's a great topic because, you know, understanding the principles and the fundamentals behind this data collection is important. Category number 2. This is kind of a new one. Mapping processes and methods. So before there was this like graphical communication section, which would have questions like scale and scale factor and north arrows and all that. But they really combined a lot of different mapping into one category. And this is kind of fun because not only is there mapping, but there is also photogrammetry inside this section. So really, it should be called mapping and photogrammetry processes. What did we just see here, folks? They took 2 separate categories, combined them, and renamed it. Category number 3, boundary law and real property principles. Look at that. They have taken the public land system, taken legal aspects, taken boundary law, taken real property, all 4 of these categories, put them into one. And they really did not add that many questions to that category. So in effect, the number of legal aspects questions has kind of been decreased. It's still a big portion, up to 29 questions, but it's been decreased. In here, easements, conveyances, water law, sources of law, real property, all of these things have been put in there. Good stuff. You got to know this stuff. Category 4, brand new surveying principles category. And this is weird because this is not surveying principles. This is geodesy and geodetic principles with some other types of surveys mixed in. Look at this, horizontal surveys, vertical surveys, historical methods of surveying, route surveying, magnetic declination. But there's also a geodesy and applied geodesy in here as well. So again, they've taken probably 3 different categories, control surveying, historical surveying, and geodesy, put them into one category. Fifth, survey computations. This has always been a pretty decent part of the FS, but they've made it even bigger. And I love this because if you have a pre-programmed HP 35, you can basically kick this category's butt without having to breathe hard. Kogo, traverse, leveling, area, curves, volume. This is a big, meaty section of the exam, right? But it's certainly easy pickings with your HP 35. So I could go with that. I like that. Next, remember back pre-2020, we had a business concepts, there was a professional communication, ethics, combined. And there really are not that many questions, 11 to 17, but this is the same percentage as pre-2020. So you've got project planning, safety, liability, contracts, supervision. This is like deja vu because this is the exact same stuff on the PS exam tested. Why is the FS and the PS looking so alike? I don't know. I'm not sure how they're going to differentiate these 2 exams, but they're very similar. And last but not least, applied mathematics and statistics. This, my friends, is the biggest change on the FS exam. Before we had mathematics, we had statistics, we had survey computations, and they were big categories. I mean, you could spend your entire morning fighting with those darn partial derivative questions or linear algebra. So the FS was very math intensive. And because it was so math intensive, we spent a lot of time studying for it in the prep course. No longer. We have quantitative reasoning, measurement science, probability and statistics, and only a small portion of that is trigonometry and geometry and calculus. And on the professor side of me, I'm insulted because mathematics, if you're not a good math person, it's going to be tough to be a surveyor. But on the test prep instructor side of me, I'm dancing because the biggest hurdle of almost every student of mine has been math. I mean, some of these math questions on the FS were murderous, but they have reduced the number of math and statistics questions by what, like 70%, 50%, 75%? So math has become a much smaller portion of the FS exam. And that's really the only big change. They reduced the mathematics substantially. They combined several different categories into one now. And they've kept everything else. It's a 6-hour exam, 110 questions. All the major categories have been moved around, shifted, but they haven't been removed or added. So what is the big change? Not much, just the mathematics. And that's why I have not changed my categories in the prep course, because it's not going to help you to combine all these topics. In fact, it's going to drive you crazy. So we're still going to learn about statistics separately from mathematics. We're still going to learn about ethics separately from business practices and professional communications. And we are going to over-prepare you for this exam. We're going to cover every topic in this outline, and you are going to be a survey master by the time you finish this course. Go into nitty-gritty detail, have fun, enjoy it, and really not worry much about the FS specifications. Because if we follow this blueprint given to us by NCEES and we cover those topics with you, then you will be 110% prepared, and then you will be ready to graduate from technician or student to surveyor intern gracefully. So thanks for watching, and I hope you're excited about the FS changes as much as I am.